Before we get into this video, I want to preface something. I am an Xbox One S owner. I enjoy the Xbox One S. The Xbox One S is the console that is upstairs in my bedroom. When I talk about games like Black Ops 4 and Red Dead Redemption 2, like I've done on the trailer very recently, they were actually done on my Xbox One S. So don't come at me saying, oh, you just don't like Xbox, you don't like what they do, and you don't like the system when I make a video like this, because I do like Xbox. I want Xbox to succeed. I want them to do very well. Well, today was Xbox's big event, Inside Xbox X018, and a lot of people were excited for this. They went to Mexico City to do this big presentation. They've been hyping it up for months, and what I just watched was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. When it comes to video games. This was like EA's E3 2018. It was like that sort of level of disappointment. So what went wrong with this situation, and why do I feel like everything just went to hell on this? Sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about that event.
Hey, RGT 85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards! So X018 was Microsoft's big presentation in Mexico City, where they've been hyping this thing up for months, and the rumor mill was going absolutely crazy with what they were going to show at this event. Obviously, this was a Microsoft-only event, so it would be solely focused on the Xbox. It would have the whole video game industry staring at them, wondering what they're going to do next, wondering what they're going to talk about, what games they're going to show off. Could they potentially tease something with their upcoming system, the Project Scarlet? A lot of expectations were high, but mine were somewhat lower than that. I didn't think they would show off any hardware at this event, but I definitely thought we would see some new game announcements and things like that, and of course a lot of things about Game Pass and what's going on with Microsoft, because if you've ever watched an episode of Inside Xbox, it's a really long, drawn out process, and there's not a lot of meat that goes onto it. There's a lot of fluff and a lot of filler. But I thought to myself, you know what, this being in Mexico City, them hyping this event up so much, there has to be something good at this event. And there were some interesting things that they announced, some good things I guess, but most of it was just absolutely piss poor. So let's talk about the good things first and get that out of the way. They announced that PUBG would be coming to Game Pass, and they had actually announced a bunch of new games that were coming to Game Pass, but PUBG was probably the biggest of them all. Now, of course, there are rumors that PUBG is going to the PS4, so the timing of this definitely makes sense. I could definitely see why they would want to promote PUBG on Game Pass now that it is going to be available on another platform. Some of the other highlights of the games that they showed off that were coming to Game Pass was games like Hellblade, so I think that's a really welcome addition as well. I'm going to put up a graphic on the screen that shows you all of the different games coming to Game Pass. I like Game Pass. It gives me a way to check out games that maybe I wouldn't have played before, and while I'm not a PUBG fan, I think it'll be a good way to introduce people to that game, because obviously PUBG is waning a bit with things like Fortnite being so successful, and of course Black Ops 4's Blackout mode being as successful as it has been. Microsoft also showed off a lot of upcoming third-party games that we already knew about, but you got to see some more trailers of them, so I guess that's kind of cool. Games like Just Cause 4 got a lot of presentation. Devil May Cry 5 also got some new footage. There was stuff about Kingdom Hearts 3 as well. So all in all, you know, there were games we knew about, but I guess it was cool to see new trailers for those games. Microsoft also showcased some new DLC for games that they've already released. Games like Sea of Thieves, State of Decay 2, games that I wasn't really a huge fan of, but hey, you know, I guess for people that are fans of those games, at least there will be something going on with that. Probably the best thing that Microsoft announced was some charity work that they're doing, where if you use a certain hashtag on Twitter, they'll basically match $5 for every picture that is showcased of people playing with their Xbox with their family or friends or things like that, up to $1 million. So that's really cool. You know, you can't diss charity work and things like that. And they also showcased some of Crackdown 3. Honestly, I think Crackdown 3 looks a bit mediocre. I'm definitely glad that it's going to be on Game Pass, so that way I can just play it that way. They showed off a new battle mode that was going on that actually uses the cloud. The power of the cloud is finally being used with destructible environments and things like that. They also announced mouse and keyboard support for a bunch of games, including Fortnite, and they're actually going to segment it in how that people are able to play with people. People that are using the mouse and the keyboard will play with mouse and keyboard users, whereas controller users will play with other controller users. And finally, they announced that there was 2 new studio acquisitions, Obsidian and inXile. So inXile did things like Wasteland. Obsidian has, of course, worked on things like Alpha Protocol, which I like that game. I think it's pretty. But yes, that's pretty much all of the positive things that happened during this event. And I know what you're thinking to yourself, well, where was the new game announcements? Why aren't you talking about those new games that they showcased and maybe potentially new hardware and stuff we didn't know about, things beyond third-party games that we knew were coming to the platform and things like that? Well, there wasn't any. There wasn't any new game announcements whatsoever, or there wasn't any updates on games that maybe have just been announced in passing. Something like Battletoads. I think Battletoads would have been a great place to showcase that game as it is coming out in 2019. No Battletoads. No information on Halo. No information on Fable. No information on anything new whatsoever when it comes to games, first-party games, and when it comes to hardware and things like that. Now, like I said at the start of this video, I didn't expect there to be hardware announcements, but Jesus Christ, you're going to Mexico City and you're promoting this huge event, and then you don't announce anything new in terms of first-party games. We know that the Xbox One has third-party multi-platform games. We know that they're probably better on the Xbox One X. We already know all of this stuff. Why are you holding a 2-hour event in Mexico City to showcase games we already knew about and just talk about things like Game Pass, what's being new and added to Game Pass, and showing off Crackdown 3, a game that's been in development hell? You did not have one single game to show off at this event. That to me is very, very troubling, and that's very worrisome. Microsoft is constantly buying all of these studios, and I think that's good, but it's not about buying studios. It's about what you do when you buy the studios, what those studios go on to make. Microsoft, of course, acquired Rare. What has Rare done since Microsoft has acquired them? Sea of Thieves, which wasn't all that great. So by buying more and more studios, it doesn't really matter unless you're putting those studios to work and having those studios do something. And for so far, Microsoft's track record with buying studios and having them do in-house projects hasn't really impressed me and hasn't really impressed a lot of gamers. Another thing that really bothered me about this presentation was that it was 2 hours long, and honestly, it could have been condensed into 30 minutes very easily. There was a lot of fluff in there, there was a lot of advertisements, there was a lot of things going on, there was a lot of interviews and things like that, and while I don't mind interviews and things like that, this is like a big presentation. This is a big stage show for you guys, and to have these interviews just sort of go on and draw out just seemed like a waste of time to me. People are wanting to watch this for games and game announcements and things going on within Xbox, more so than getting information on these third-party games that are coming up very, very soon. Games like Devil May Cry and Kingdom Hearts 3 are coming out very soon. I think people are pretty much, done deciding if they want to buy this or not want to buy this. I don't think watching this presentation of you promoting all of these third-party games is necessarily going to tip them into getting it on your platform or just getting the game in general. Devil May Cry fans are going to buy Devil May Cry. Kingdom Hearts fans are going to buy Kingdom Hearts. It just seemed very unnecessary. But the biggest thing that bothered me about this presentation was that it was essentially a 2-hour commercial, and you really started to realize that as the presentation went on. It was just a 2-hour commercial about Xbox and trying to get you to buy an Xbox for, I guess, third-party games, because they didn't show anything that would make you want to buy an Xbox this year unless you take into account the Black Friday advertisement ad they had. Yes, they actually did a Black Friday advertisement to talk about things that, a million other people are going to talk about for you. It's not something that you really need to bring attention to. And the whole event just felt very fake and very forced. The crowd reactions and things like that. I actually was watching back the video before I made this video, and you could literally see one of the production people telling the crowd to get excited. It seemed like there was an applause button that kept popping up because this crowd was going absolutely apeshit for things that were so minuscule. When it was announced that there would be puzzle mini games in the 100-acre woods in Kingdom Hearts 3, the crowd did one of the loudest pops of the event, and I'm like, maybe the crowd isn't really giving their full-on reaction. Now, I've been told by people on social media that Mexico City is a very popular place for Xbox, and that those people seemed very passionate. Maybe some of them were plants, maybe some of them were over-enthusiastic, maybe they were just sort of caught up in the event itself, but I definitely feel like there was something strange going on with it. The whole event just felt very superficial. It felt very fake. It felt very drawn out. It's something that could have been done in 30 minutes or less, in my opinion. I could not imagine a company like Sony or Nintendo hyping up an event for months, saying that there's going to be big surprises and big announcements at the thing, and then literally just going out there and showing third-party games only, no new first-party games, nothing else. Like, the video game industry has changed. All of this stuff could have really been done in tweets and press releases and things like that. Company acquisitions are exciting, but that's something that could be done in a press release. What's coming to Xbox Game Pass? You do something with that every month. You do a press release every month. I was just very disappointed in this presentation. My expectations were low going into it, but somehow, some way, Microsoft managed to make them even lower for me, and not even meet my low expectations, but I don't think they met anyone's expectations in this. But maybe I'm being too harsh on the event. Maybe you liked the event and enjoyed what you saw and enjoyed what you learned about. So let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of the event. Did you feel like it was a 2-hour commercial? Did you feel like there was way too much fluff? Did you feel like there was no reason to do it? Or did you enjoy the event and you think I'm an idiot? And thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next one. Later.